Okay, let's dive right in. Today, we're undertaking a deep dive into sources that, well, they fundamentally challenge one of the oldest ideas out there.
Yeah, the stubborn concept.
Exactly, the strict separation between the physical body and the non-physical mind.
Right.
Our mission really is to understand a reality where they're not just connected, but they're actually one thing, integrated, responsive, all the time.
We are absolutely looking at overturning that foundational Western belief, that the body is just this container.
A machine, almost.
Or maybe a tool the mind uses. But these sources, they're insistent. The body is the living actualization of the mind.
Okay.
It's a flesh and blood gestalt of consciousness.
Yeah.
So it's not about the mind being trapped up here in the skull.
Right.
It's about the mind being fully materialized, right down to your toes.
That idea,
Yeah,
the mind being fully materialized, that's genuinely radical, isn't it?
it is.
Because when we think consciousness, we instinctively put it somewhere, well, abstract. So who really imagines a complex thought or like a strong intention living in their foot or maybe in their bloodstream?
Nobody thinks like that, typically.
Yet that's exactly the territory we're exploring here, this seamless unity, flesh, thought, spirit all mixed up.
And this unity, it directly hits that core misconception, the one that drives so much conflict, both psychologically and physically.
You mean the idea that the mind's purely spiritual?
Yeah, mind is spiritual, separate, and the body is just material stuff, just physical clay.
Which rational thinking often emphasizes.
Exactly. But in doing that, it creates this unnecessary split, a schism.
Okay, but if the body is the materialized mind, then where does that feeling of conflict come from? When your body seems to want one thing and your conscious will wants another.
Well, that perceived separation. The sources suggest it's really just an artifact. It comes from believing in the split in the first place.
How?
The sources state pretty clearly, the body is the living soul in physical form. That energy, the energy that forms your deepest intention, your mind. It's the exact same energy that shapes a flower or rushes in to heal a bad burn. There's zero difference in the source energy itself.
Just in how it shows up.
Exactly. Only in its manifestation.
So that makes the spiritual side instantly natural. And the natural side, well, instantly spiritual. It kind of erases the hierarchy we usually assume.
Precisely. Soul and nature are one fabric. The body is just as spiritual as the soul. And the soul is just as natural as the body.
It's a two-way street.
It is. And the body is always healing itself, correcting, growing. Which means the living soul, in its physical form, is automatically trusting its own essence. It's inherently trustworthy.
Okay, that makes sense for the whole organism, the body as a living whole. But to really get this idea, we need to scale down, right? We can't just stop at the whole being conscious. We've got to go smaller, like molecular level.
Absolutely, right down to the components. The sources are clear on this. The physical body is made of living, responsive atoms and molecules.
Not just inert blocks.
Definitely not. These components possess their own consciousness, an innate consciousness, and a drive to survive, within their own nature.
When the sources talk about atoms and molecules having a subtle vision, what does that actually mean? Are we talking about something purely mechanical, like just reacting to light?
It's more than that.
Or is it closer to feeling, sensory input, appreciation?
It's definitely closer to appreciation. That subtle vision implies a basic kind of sensory input, a sort of inherent awareness of their environment.
So they appreciate their surroundings in their own way.
In their own way, yes. And when these atoms group together, they form cells. And that's where things get really interesting structurally.
So these highly conscious components combine.
And they create organ systems.
Yeah.
And the organs themselves. They possess the combined consciousness of all the cells inside them.
A collective consciousness for the organ.
Yes. This shared consciousness gives organs a real sense of identity and purpose. Functional cooperation within the whole organism.
So the takeaway is, you're not a soul locked in dead matter.
Not at all. Your body is a community of other living entities, each with its own right to exist and, well, complete itself.
Okay. So if the body is this community of conscious, living things, we have to revisit thoughts. We usually think of thoughts as purely non-physical. Does that idea still work?
It absolutely doesn't hold up in this view. If the body is natural, then the thought that comes before an action must also be natural.
Logical.
Thoughts are as real, as tangible in their own way as the cells in your body. If your hair is natural, your thoughts are natural, and they're constantly interacting with the physical structure.
Right. And this leads to that analogy that really stopped me when I first read it. The sources compare thoughts to viruses.
Yes, it's a stunning analogy, isn't it? But it works really well to show their living nature.
How so?
Well, thoughts are compared to viruses because they're described as living, constantly present, reactive, and mobile. Yes, they're chemically driven, they possess their own mobility, they travel through what the sources call the universal body, kind of like viruses travel through your physical body, engaging in these complex chemical electromagnetic interactions.
Okay, let's unpack that mobility and chemical drive. If I have, say, an anxious thought, how does that thought, acting like a virus, show up chemically in my body?
Well, that anxious thought is an energy signature, right?
Right.
And it immediately interacts with your cells. It's mobile because it's essentially a wave of focused energy.
Okay.
And it drives chemistry because it can instantly shift your hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, which then tells the cells it encounters how to act, what defenses to put up.
We usually think of viruses as bad news, though, something to be destroyed, but the sources seem to imply something different.
They absolutely do. It's a much more dynamic view. Viruses aren't inherently harmful. Some actually have tremendous curative value.
Curative.
In a highly intelligent way, the body sometimes lowers its defenses and actually welcomes certain viruses. It uses them to counteract other viruses that are maybe less beneficial at that specific moment.
Like an internal ecological balancing act.
Exactly. It's an internal management system. It's constant transformation. The body is adapting defenses based on need, not just fighting everything equally.
That implies viruses can change too.
Precisely. The sources mention viruses undergoing transformations that, our standard scientific model doesn't really account for. It's possible one type of virus can naturally modify, change into another type based on the body's chemical conditions and energy needs right then.
Wow.
It's a reflection of the body's own creative intelligence.
So if thoughts are like these invisible living viral carriers, these sparks igniting chemical reactions, where does our conscious control fit in? How much power do our beliefs actually have over this microscopic world?
The power is, well, it's immense,
Yeah.
because your conscious beliefs, they are the most potent, the most consistent source of those living thought viruses.
So what I consistently believe matters most.
Profoundly. Your conscious belief system dictates your body's health. You're constantly projecting a thought reality. And those thoughts, as living sparks, ignite matching reactions all through your physical system.
This perspective also gives us a really impartial way to look at medicine, especially the difference between natural and synthetic stuff.
Yes, and that distinction is vital in this worldview. The body understands how to deal with natural remedies, things from the earth, whether you chew them, grind them up, boil them.
Because they're familiar, part of the ecosystem.
Exactly. They're already part of the deep memory, the natural system. But synthetic man-made medicines, they often introduce substances the body doesn't recognize on that deep level.
And when the body meets something unfamiliar,
It often triggers strong defense mechanisms, sometimes system-wide. And critically, these defenses might be aimed at the drug itself, the unfamiliar synthetic thing, not necessarily the disease it was meant to treat.
so the body says, whoa, what's this? Get it out.
Effectively, yes. I don't recognize this. I must expel it. And that can lead to the kind of negative side effects or feedback loops we sometimes see.
But the sources also add a really important caution here. They suggest we can't just ditch conventional medicine if we've been relying on it.
Exactly right. And this is maybe the ultimate proof of the power of belief. If you've been conditioned, maybe since birth, to believe in the Western medical structure, and your whole conceptual framework says these drugs will heal you, then you should probably keep seeing doctors, keep taking those medicines. Your concepts are still shaping your reality.
So the drug works in part because the belief framework is strong.
Yes. The mental framework supporting it makes it effective within that context. It reinforces the whole idea. The thought is primary, the drug is secondary.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears slightly to memory, because this is where the body's innate wisdom really seems to anchor this unity concept.
Right.
We know cells die and get replaced constantly. The actual stuff of our body is always recycling, yet our organs keep their shape, their identity.
That's right. And the memory of all past experiences, good things from childhood, serious injuries, it's preserved. It's written almost indelibly into the non-material aspect of the physical structure.
The material changes.
The material's transient, but the identity, the pattern, holds firm.
So if the actual cell matter is replaced, how does the memory of something physical, like a scar or a broken bone, stay fixed? Is it like the cell is working off a blueprint, Or is it getting a constant signal from some kind of field, like cloud storage?
It's much more like that second one, the essential identity, the field that remains.
Yeah.
And conscious thoughts, which we talked about as these living electromagnetic cells,
Yeah.
they continuously command the overall function of the physical cells. Even unconsciously, every physical cell essentially acts like a miniature brain,
A tiny brain.
holding the complete memory of the body's entire history, past, present, and future. The cell operates according to this incredibly holistic picture.
Wow, okay, future too. So the cell isn't just reacting to the past, it's predicting.
It is forward-looking, yes.
Yeah.
The combined body consciousness, it instantly perceives changes in single cells, and it can anticipate future results. The source is actually called as the prophecy picture.
A prophecy picture.
Yeah, and it's not just a vague feeling. It's highly coded electromagnetic information that describes the body's likely path in detail.
So what does the body do with this complex prophecy?
It immediately compares it. This prophecy picture gets compared to two guiding templates.
Okay.
First, there's the individual's ideal health standard, this sort of energetic template of its best possible self, its maximal realization.
Right.
Second, it compares it to the conscious self's current body image. That's your explicit conscious beliefs about your health, your limitations, all that.
So present status, future prediction, and conscious belief.
Exactly. And the body then rapidly starts making changes to try and reconcile those three images.
Which explains the constant healing and adjustment we see. Let's use that famous example to make this concrete. The burn.
Okay. So imagine you got a serious burn on your hand when you were, say, 4 years old.
Right.
By the time you're 27, all the tissue, all the physical material on that hand, it's been replaced many times over.
Completely new atom.
Completely new atoms. Yet the essential identity, the overall consciousness of that area, it still remembers the injury. That memory isn't in the physical atoms anymore. It's in the field of consciousness that organizes those atoms.
So the application for you, the listener, becomes absolutely crucial here. If that memory of past trauma exists perpetually in your essential identity, how do you stop it from messing up your present experience?
Your conscious thoughts and expectations, they act like the switch. They're the key. They determine which memories get called up and replayed, essentially, in your present physical experience.
So my focus matters.
Immensely. If you're constantly dwelling on negative thoughts or operating from extreme anxiety, you put the body into what the sources call an unreal state of disturbance.
Unreal.
Meaning not aligned with its ideal potential or present reality. This emotional state forces the cellular consciousness to reactivate those old challenging patterns, as if the trauma were happening right now.
You're basically the conductor deciding which track the body plays.
You are absolutely the conductor.
That brings us right back around. The initial mistake, separating mind and body, leads to feeling isolated.
Yes.
But when you realize the body is the living soul, that the spiritual and physical are one, you realize you have this tremendous immediate influence over your physical reality.
And the beautiful thing is, the body's own innate wisdom is constantly trying to correct your conscious errors.
How does it do that?
Well, this guidance shows up everywhere. Simple cravings for certain foods or for fresh air or exercise, those are communications. It also appears in very specific directional dreams. Dreams where the body's consciousness is directly communicating its needs to your conscious self.
So if you're looking for healing or just clarity, you could actually ask for a dream to show you the way.
You absolutely can. But this needs conscious integrity, honesty with yourself. Meaning, if you ask your body for help through a dream, but at the same time, you're holding onto this deep belief, this constant thought virus that denies the dream's power or denies the body's ability to heal.
You block it.
You block the whole process.
Yeah.
The conscious inconsistency itself becomes the mechanism of failure.
Wow. This entire deep dive really grounds us in the idea that existence, physical manifestation, it's all utterly natural.
Indeed. And maybe even consider the concept of not being, of non-physical existence, as just as natural as physical existence.
Go on.
The body knows it dies, in a sense. It's always coming and going. Cells are constantly dying, new ones forming. But the larger entity doesn't feel diminished or threatened by this.
It's just constant, effortless transformation.
Exactly. It's normal for the body.
That's a powerful way to look at our own mortality.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to carry forward.
Okay.
What if you considered your current temporary body as just one single large cell of a much larger self? If that were true, then your existence before this life and after this current physical life, it would be just as natural, just as normal as the life you have right now.
Like the cell isn't diminished by death and replacement.
It's just transforming. So the question for you is, what would change in your daily life if you approached your own existence with that same inherent cellular acceptance of transformation?